1, 2. Simkin. Who hates Simkin? She hates Simkin. He hates Simkin. I hate Simkin. You hate Simkin. She hates Simkin. We hate Simkin. Who hates Simkin? I hate Simkin. They hate Simkin.
Well, you mentioned DSK. Let's talk about that. The DSK, aka Dead Surf Kiss, which is also an early memory for me of you. And I think I've told you this as well, but I had a summer job at the Broadway Medical Building. It would have been late 80s, I think.
Sure.
I put a pause on my law school career for a year. I came home for a year and then went back and finished in Toronto. But I did live in Vancouver for a year, and I had the job that year. So it was probably 88, 89. My job was as a security guard, but part of my job was at the end of the day when the Broadway Medical Building was closing up, I'd go door to door, check every office. That was part of my job. And I'd always check this one office. And I don't even think there was a name on it. It was just like occupied. And I'd go in, there's like music gear all over the place, like scattered all over the floor. And I wasn't in the music business then. I didn't even know what the hell I was looking at. Other than like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, why is there all this gear? Why is it so scattered all over the place? Like a hurricane just went through it. What the is going on? And at some point I figured out, oh, it's the son of a prominent doctor who also was a doctor. So once you fill in the blank there, so that was Mike Perlman. And what was what was the relation? Because I wasn't working with you then. So
no, he was the manager label. And
what was the label called?
Initially it was called Invasion.
Right.
And then it later became Onslaught. And they managed to finagle a distribution deal with BMG US by partnering with Scotty Brothers, a label called Scotty Brothers. So yeah, when I first joined the Vancouver music scene, it was with a band called 24 Gone. It was Brad McGivern, who was my neighbor growing up in Crescent Beach, called me one day when I just turned 19. He said, I got this band, got a label and a manager, and we're looking for a utility musician, somebody who can double on keyboards and guitar. You'd be perfect for it. Can you move into town and join my band? So 24 Gone eventually turned into Dead Surf Kiss. We made a record. 24 Gone had made a record, but the band broke up and had turned into Dead Surf Kiss by the time the record got out. And then we made a Dead Surf Kiss record in LA with Rave in 91. And then that band turned into DSK. The singer left. We parted ways with the singer and got Blair Dobson as the singer, and that became DSK.
Who was the singer originally?
Brian McCarrick was the singer in 24 Gone, and then Dead Surf.
Where the hell's he now? Do you even know?
Don't know.
Wow.
Don't know.
So DSK.
Just an interesting thing about 24 Gone. This is the pre-internet era, right? So 24 Gone, the record came out, the band was already broken up, and 24 Gone, unbeknownst to us, had a fairly substantial radio hit in Detroit. There's a Detroit radio station that played the hell out of a song called Girl of Colors. And the band did not find out about it until the advent of the internet.
Interesting.
So it had been a hit 8 years earlier in Detroit that we didn't even know about. And I think it still gets a bit of play on Detroit radio now, Windsor. And the band has actually had show offers in Windsor and Detroit recently. And we have gotten together and jammed a few times and played through the songs.
With Blair?
No, this is with Brian, the previous singer. This is 24 Gone, right?
Right.
So it was interesting that the band had some momentum that we didn't even know was happening.
Well, it wouldn't happen in the day and age of the internet.
No, of course. This is way before the internet.
Well, I have a lot of memories of DSK, most positive. I mean, I had a pretty famous falling out with Blair and even led to a fist fight at some point, and don't need to go into that again.
I can't wait for the podcast.
I have talked about it on the podcast.
No, the podcast with Blair.
I don't see that happening. I haven't talked to the guy in a very long time. I'm a polarizing figure. He's a mega polarizing figure. And
I will say this. I was asking you about your greatest disappointment.
That's yours? Just what happened with him? Or
no, because we were a gang of best friends, right?
And the band was incredible. I mean, it was, I think, the best band in Vancouver at times. Like there were times when, certainly from a live show perspective, I saw so many shows. And say what you will about Blair, he was an unbelievable frontman.
Unbelievable.
He was funny as and he's had a bit of the Iggy Pop to him. The shirt would always come off, and he'd be swearing up a storm and funny as
incredibly entertaining. And
those shows were unbelievable. So it was you, Rich, Brad, and Blair.
Well, it was originally Glenn and Pat and Brad and myself.
Of course, yeah.
And then Glenn and Pat moved to LA, and Rich came in on bass.
I know you and Rich had a bit of because when you left Matthew Good band, he kind of stuck around.
Well, we kept playing with Matt,
which I know was on some level not great for the relationship for the two of you.
Well, I mean, I don't feel like I control what anybody does with their careers or who they choose to play with, but that was kind of the end of the band was the end of my relationship with Matt and the end of my relationship with Rich.
Did you not really talk to him before he died? Like, had you?
No.
I'm not sure I knew that. I don't know. For some reason, I thought maybe after the Matthew Good band imploded, you guys sort of reconnected.
Creative relationships are, a band relationship is a very unnatural place to put a couple of guys. It's a creative relationship, which can be a strain. It's a friendship, which can be a strain, and it's a business relationship. And you throw in the amount of travel and exhaustion and unlimited occupational hazards. It's tough to maintain a long-term relationship with people in that situation unless you're very, very special people. Now, 5440 have managed to do it, but those are very special people. Nickelback's managed to do it. Those are very special people, right? But it's difficult. Just look at your favorite bands. How many of them have their original members? Very, very few. And a lot of the times it's, it gets easier if you're at the top. Nickelback, they all got their own buses. They've all got.
Makes it a little easier.
Yeah, it makes it easier. Yeah, you're not in the same sprinter together all day long.
But 5440 don't.
Again, 5440 are outliers. These are guys that have all worked on themselves and treat each other with the utmost amount of respect and understanding and go out of their way to make it easy for each other. And you know what? Also, I've been in 5440 for 22 years. They were a band for 22 years before that. So they worked out their differences long before I showed up, right? And then when I showed up, I had already been in 10 bands and I knew how to get in the van and be cool.
So with DSK, well, I'm trying to remember now, so what brings that to an end? There were some records. You had Cement Head, which did well.
Yeah, we made a record. Alan Moy on Divine Industries released our record, which was a couple of recording sessions that we'd done. We'd flirted with a couple of labels, including Warner Canada. Kim Cook was quite interested in the band, and what it looked like it was going to be a signing. And then the last second, he got cold feet. He said to me, "The marketing department doesn't know what to do with it." I'm like, "No." We flirted a bit with Zoo. We flirted a bit with Restless, but
just didn't happen. Whether timing, you were talking about it before. It's not enough to be good. Everything has to fall into place. Yep. You have to get lucky. Your timing has to be right. You have to have the right machinery around you. And again, that was also a band that wasn't necessarily equipped for success. Agreed.
But at the same time, I feel, again, it was the band of my best friends. And you romanticize the idea of a rock band being a gang of best buddies. And that actually was. And so I often look at that as sort of the biggest disappointment of my career that didn't get bigger.
Yeah. I can't imagine what Blair would have been like with success. I have a bad feeling that would not have ended well.
We'll never know.
Because he was one of the most self-subverting people I've ever met. It's he gets a gig to do this great Change Your Heart video, and then he just doesn't deliver it. Like, you get these great opportunities and then it's like no good reason other than some people seem to be afraid of succeeding.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, fear of success, fear of failure, they're both really big motivators for artists.
Yep.
Sometimes in the same sentence.
Yep.
And I think we had something special, but just couldn't get it off the ground. And we tried. We were at it for a long time, that band. We were at it for a long time.
You're still friends with pretty much everybody but Blair there, right?
Yes, still best friends with Brad. And I went and saw the Hives. I went and saw the Hives last weekend with Pat and Glenn and Rave.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to a friend the other day about this. It's like, men make all the friends they need by the time they're about 22. And it's like, hey, you want to make a new friend? Nah, I got all the friends I need. I've had this one for 40 years or so.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, it's true. It's funny. That's kind of true. And I'm always teasing Jennifer about it because, like, we went up to a Soyuz just for a little break a couple of weeks ago, and I'm a bit of a curmudgeon. I don't really want to go hang out around the pool or anything. But, she said, "Oh, I met these really nice people.
Let's go hang out with them."
And I was like, "Oh my God, like." I don't want you going to the pool anymore. I don't want you. At this age, you feel the need to make friends? Like, what are we in grade 5? And you're like, so, but I mean, I'm extreme on that stuff. I'm just, and I find it's getting weirder the older I get. Like it's funny. There's a lot of people my age who, I can hardly wait to retire. It's like last thing on my mind. I'm feeling more motivated by work than I ever have my whole life. And that's probably my way of dealing with getting old. It's just like, as long as I can produce, I can breathe and live,
Well, you don't drink and you don't golf. So what's retirement going to do for you?
Golf to me is the equivalent of waving the white flag on your life. It's saying, I've given up. I'm done. I'm done with having a meaningful life. Now I'm going to drive around the golf course in a cart, drinking mimosas, and it's like to me that's just like it's like the music business equivalent of getting a job with SoCan.
Oh, well, I disagree. I don't golf,
yes.
And I doubt I will ever golf. But I do understand the appeal because I think the appeal of golf is much like music. It's something you will never master. But you can see yourself improve every day if you put the time in. If you're obsessed with it and you put the time in every day, you will be rewarded by improvement, seeing yourself improve.
I get that.
But you will never master it.
But wouldn't you want to be improving yourself at something that actually matters in some way?
Well, golf matters to a lot of people in a lot of ways.
Well, Chad golfs, Jennifer golfs. I mean, there's enough people in my life who golf. And of course, I always make the jokes. And
you golf vicariously through them.
I guess I golf vicariously through them.
There you go.
So speaking of people who were self-subversive to their career, another artist you and I had in common was Holly McNarland.
Mm-hmm.
And that was quite a little intro on that. That was a period of time. So that's after Matthew Goodband.
Mm-hmm.
And you were very involved. Were you involved in the making of Beautiful Blue of that album?
Mm-hmm.
That was at the Little Mountain, but it wasn't Little Mountain at that point. Was it Hipposonic?
Yeah, Hipposonic. So that was done with several producers.
Malcolm Byrne
did some. Warren Livesey did some. And Mark Howard did some.
Who did Beautiful Blue, the song?
Warren.
It's a great song.
Wonderful song. That record I thought would do better.
I said something about it on the podcast. We have a thing we do sometimes, Alex and I, where he randomly brings out some plaques, and I talk about them. And one of them was a Holly. It wasn't even a plaque. I think it was the cover art for Sour Pie. Remember the two penises and the
pie. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was sort of talking about the making of that album,
mm-hmm.
and the regret in a way I had just that, she'd had a kid and she was married and didn't last super long, that marriage, but there was, they're having a domestic life,
mm-hmm.
and suddenly a bunch of time passed.
5 years.
And that's a long time in the music business. So she went from being the Juno new artist of the year with Numb and all the stuff from that record.
Mhm.
And then 5 years later, it was like I had trouble getting Universal excited at that point.
Mhm.
Sarah Norris was kind of her champion at Universal.
Yeah.
And she continued to support. And we made this record, which was such a departure in a lot of ways, because she was known for more sort of raucous kind of rock and
Angry chick singer.
Angry chick with a lot of sexual sort of lyrics. And all of a sudden, it's a song about having a kid. Is that what that song was about? I think it was.
Beautiful Blue is about her son. Yes.
It's about Nisha.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful song, but that's tough in this business. Like you come out like with that and it's like, that's Holly McNarland. Like people were kind of like, what? Like what the happened? Like, nothing had happened. She had just grown in her life and was singing about her current experiences, but it was a bit disappointing. That song did not react as we were hoping it would. I think we put out 2 singles. Neither of them really reacted. I mean, we toured a lot. I remember being with you on the road. I will say, without getting into gory details, as I said earlier, I don't have a ton of regrets about my career, but I have some. And I think that's one where I have some regrets about conduct that I saw by certain people that were it today, I would have stepped in and done something about. But that was a different time. And, I maybe kept my mouth shut or shut up about things I probably shouldn't have. And I mean, look, not to get too graphic about it all, but I mean, I remember a very specific night with you in Ottawa. I don't know if you remember or know what I'm talking about, but I'll just say we were in a hotel room with other people. And I think you and I looked at each other at a certain point and said, we got to get the out of here. Go, yeah. Like it was not something. Now that's different than saying, we got to go. And before I go, I need to stop what I'm worried is about to happen.
Right.
And I didn't. And that's something that today I would absolutely have stepped in on. But at the time I didn't. And that's not a good excuse. And that's not a good anything. But that one has stuck with me. That night has stuck with me for 20, however many years of going like, Jesus Christ, I should have stepped into something. And I didn't. And well, that's too long ago now to do anything about it. Nobody got hurt, as I understand, and nothing bad did happen. But it could have.
What a voice.
Who?
Holly.
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
What a voice.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good way to segue out of
what
that.
What a voice.
I will say that. I will say I agree with that. Maybe, I think the 2 singers I've ever worked with who, in terms of pitch, were the most perfect. One was Holly, and one was Dallas Smith. People I don't think I ever heard sing a sour note ever, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. Because, I mean, like even anybody who does casual karaoke, that, you start on the wrong note and, that can kind of the whole thing up. I was telling Chad, we did a karaoke night here, I don't know, 6 months ago. So I sang a Morsey song and I nailed it. I'm just telling you, people, I nailed it. I sang, it was a good lay. What song's that? Suedehead?
Yeah.
I sang Suedehead.
Oh, I assumed it was going to be Meet His Murder, but okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's Smith's, not Morsey. That song was great. And I sang a Third Eye Blind song and it was great. And it was like, you should try Nickelback. You should sing Nickelback. I'm like, okay. I said, we'll put on Far Away. I love you. And I started off in the wrong octave and I was I remember calling Chad the next day and said, dude, like that song's, I messed it up. Buddy, it's the easiest song to sing in our whole catalog.
For him.
Yeah, for him. So, but yeah, Holly's voice was unbelievable. And her shows were unbelievable in a lot of ways. Like when she was on.
Mesmerizing.
She was as good as it gets in terms of a live show. And that was great. Like that part of it is great. She was a complicated human being. She probably still is. And that sort of unfortunately led to some stuff. And I don't really know much about her now. I knew she was running a cafe or something, but I heard that's done now. Yeah. Do you ever talk to her?
I've a little bit here and there. I haven't seen her in a bit, but I did have drinks with her. Oh, it was a while ago now, and I text with her every once in a while, a little bit of messaging every once in a while. Heatherman still sees her quite a bit. So when I see Heatherman, he'll sort of fill me in where she's at. I think she's quite content. She's essentially retired. She doesn't play at all.
Is that interesting?
Just doesn't play, which is that's always mesmerizing to me. It's like when somebody's that rawly talented to not have the desire and to get up and sing. But she definitely, she had a career.
It's also known honestly about her that after that album that you worked with her, she was kind of like sick of the music industry. She was like, doesn't represent me. I don't like this.
With Holly, when you sort of fell out with her, it was a like stop talking, stop it. I mean, when I stopped managing her, like that was it. Like I was cut off, and which frankly was fine at the time. I think we both had enough of each other, right. And that was fine. So I don't have many conversations with her afterwards. So I can't really speak to that, but I could see that. Holly was impatient, and Holly didn't suffer fools. And if she didn't like a situation, she wasn't going to around or let's try to make it work. No. I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah.
She's
a boss.
And she's one of the guys.
Yeah.
It still makes me laugh. I remember I said to her when I was just getting to know her, and I said like, oh, okay, so have you always like been a singer? Like, did you have any other like jobs? Like, did you? So, well, so the only real job I ever had was blowjobs for beer. It's a joke, people. It's a joke. It's just a joke. What are you looking at me? I didn't say it. She was one of the boys, is more my point.
She was, yes.
Like her sense of humor was,
was raw.
She was raw, and
her songs were raw too, and her shows were raw.
And when I was into that, I loved it. I mean, I had some fun times with her. Let's finish this up with just a couple more things. So in the past, say 10 years, our relationship has a lot been in terms of the music stuff, been about like bands you've produced for us. So you have produced and worked with Marianas Trench. So that was the first and second album, if I remember correctly. Somebody's asked me about that today, funny enough. There's some people in our studio, and I mentioned I was doing this podcast, and somebody said, oh, he produced that first Marianas Trench record. I thought, well, that's an interesting thing to pull out as the first sort of reference.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I think he did, but I'm having some trouble. I think maybe Rave produced one or two and Dave produced.
No, so Fix Me. So let's keep something in mind when you say I produced Marianas Trench. I did not. That is very much co-production with Josh.
Fair enough.
Always with Josh.
Yes. Anybody who knows Josh knows that if he's in the studio, he's involved as a producer.
Yeah. So Fix Me was Josh and I did.
Everything start to like.
Yes, the whole record. Yes.
And then the second record's where Josh decided I'm going to use different producers for different songs.
Yeah. So he decided he was going to use 4 different producers, all guys that he'd looked up to in his youth. So myself,
Greg Norrie, Rain Maida, and
Rave. But Josh, being the sweetheart that he is, gifted me the 2 songs that he knew were going to be the first 2 singles.
So please don't follow me. What's that song called? All to myself.
All to myself and Cross My Heart.
And Cross My Heart. It's funny. I have some funny. By the way, I was talking earlier about that 604 restored thing we've done. Check out I don't know if you've had a chance to check out Cross My Heart, the restored version. It's incredible. Like when you restore videos, sometimes it's shocking the difference. Sometimes it isn't. That one's shocking. Though how it looks is incredible. But it's funny. My memory of that is there's a riff, a very prominent riff in Cross My Heart. And what right.
Yep.
And I remember either it was you or it was me who said it sounds too much like something else. And Josh had to very, very, very specifically change a bunch of elements of it to make sure there could be no, like it wasn't intentional. It was just one of those things that it's like, oh, that sounds a little bit like, and I can't remember the riff. And we all listened to it and we're like, yeah, it does sound a little bit. And he had, and probably you and him had to go in and actually, he'd remember exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I remember that. I remember making that video. I don't know if you were there that day, but we made a video just up the street. Victoria.
Producers don't get invited to the video shoots.
Yeah, but you were friends with them. I thought maybe you would have just come by for the hang or whatever. But I remember making that video because it was where the set was built for, was a show called Dark Angel. Remember there's a show in Vancouver?
Yeah.
Now it's condos. I happened to drive by it recently in Victoria and like Hastings. Now it's all condos. And then I remember like, it was funny because that first album did well, but not at radio.
Yeah.
And that was that whole, you know, 2 rock for pop, 2 pop for rock, which is why Josh made a very, very deliberate decision.
Yes.
Like, I'm going pop.
Yeah.
If that's really what it's like, if like the radio stations are so intense about that, like you got to be one or the other, fuck it, I'm going pop.
Right.
And that was sort of, you know, because I remember when
Good call.
Great call. When Cross My Heart came out and it did well at radio immediately, and then that fan base that we had built meticulously, fan by fan, with the shows and the online content and the videos, they rose up like mother. And I remember at the time people going like, where did that fan base come from? Well, those of us on the inside knew exactly where they came from. They were the kids who we were messaging on MySpace, and they were the kids we were, you know, like, so I, you know,
that band also worked so hard on the road. Like they relocated,
shaking hands, kissing babies,
and relocating out to an uncle's basement in Hamilton or wherever they went there. And like,
that was a big part of their success, was that decision. I mean, I've told the story before, I think even on the podcast, but like, you know, yeah, with Ralph James, because I had Ralph on and we both talked about that. Was like, it was a very deliberate, like, because when it didn't work at radio, we freaked out. Like the label were freaking out. We were so cocky about that record, and we're so self-sure that like, oh, this is going to do well. And it didn't do well. And then it was like, what now? So I remember us having a meeting, Julie, me, Kessie, a bunch of us going, what the and we kind of went, okay, let's be calm. Oh, let's talk about what is working. Well, the video content's working, both the official music videos, but also the goofy clips that they were putting up.
Yeah.
And the shows are working.
Yeah.
I remember calling Ralph and being like, we want to get them out there. They have a place to stay. I'm going to set them up with a video camera. The goal is like sort of 2 or 3-fold. 1, play as much as humanly possible in Ontario. 2, meet as many bands and other artists as humanly possible. Like build some alliances. 3, film it all. And that was kind of what we did. And that led to that sort of to Shake Tramp, which went to number 1 on the Much Music chart.
Yeah.
Much Music had a lot to do with that band's success as well.
Yeah. You had a video hit.
We had a bunch of video hits.
Yeah.
The videos did well right from the first one.
Yeah.
That one got nominated for a Juno and went to number 1 on the video, on the Much Music video chart.
Right.
I know I'm cutting checks to you once every 6 months.
It's true.
Is that for both those albums, I guess?
Both are recouped.
You've also produced the Gins for us.
Yeah.
And still are.
Just finishing a record right now. Actually, I'm going to see Ben tonight, and we're on the finishing touches right now. I'm going to have stuff for you to hear next week.
Love it. And that's done well.
Yeah, those guys grinded out old school, man.
They're an interesting group of guys. They are very unlike most of the bands on this label. And that's not a judgment. It's just a statement of fact. They do things differently. And the numbers are incredible. Like for a band who doesn't really promote themselves other than playing, it has done phenomenally well and continues to. They're just about to go on a US tour. They're very do-it-yourself in a way that, you know, it's funny because like they'll go on tour and either come home making money or breaking even. And that's very different than a lot of the bands on a label who, you know, and it makes it harder for me to then, you know, want to support some other bands. It's like, you don't need 30 grand to tour from here to LA. Yeah. What are you talking about? The Gins did it on $5.
They're also a t-shirt factory.
They're a t-shirt factory. And they've got a hardcore fan base suddenly.
They do.
And the numbers on Spotify don't lie. I mean,
Die Hard.
They're Die Hard. So, and what else have you produced? I mean, you've produced other stuff.
Well, I was going to ask you about this. I was wondering if you could name them all.
Nope.
Do you remember the first thing you had me produce?
I have no clue.
The Lilix demos that got them signed to Maverick.
Right. And that was done at Greenhouse.
That was actually the first thing I ever produced with my buddy Brad McGivern.
So Lilix were a band, the first band I ever managed, and they ended up being signed by Madonna to Maverick Records. and I'll say this to Alex, there is a photo of Madonna and Lilix in the kitchen. Like to this day, my biggest regret is I'm not in the picture. I took the picture. It's like, God damn it, I could have had a picture with Madonna. Yeah, no, I remember that really well because I didn't really know what I was dealing with at that point. They had sent us these songs. I still have that funny demo they sent from Cranbrook.
Yeah.
And we all agreed, Jesus, these songs are good.
They're 14.
But I remember there being some real doubt. Do you think the dad wrote it? Apparently the dad was in a band. I wonder if they really wrote it. Who would have known that it ended up being 3 phenomenally talented young women and another woman who wasn't as talented, but God bless her. I don't want to say who's who, but you can probably figure it out. And so I tapped Dave and Brad. I'm like, I'm going to get people I trust. I don't really know what we're even dealing with here. I don't even know what it is. And they came up with their parents. And you guys hunkered down in Greenhouse and cranked out a bunch of demos, and that's what got them their deal.
Do you remember what you paid us?
Not very much. Probably $500.
We did it entirely on a spec deal. You paid us nothing, but we worked out a deal with like, if they release it independently, you get this. If they get
so did you get paid?
And if they get signed to an American major, you get paid this.
And that's what you got?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I mean, it's nice when those deals work out.
When do they work out?
Once in a while.
Not very often.
Well, Chad and I with Default.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the exact deal we had with them.
We had a spec deal.
And if we get you signed. And I mean, it's funny because like looking back now, I think we both put in probably close to a year's worth of work. And I think I think we both made $12,500, which at the time, like I don't come from money. At the time, that was like, wow. And I think Chad bought his first car with that money.
Wow.
And, but you're right. They don't usually work out. Yeah. Those deals don't usually work out.
It's funny because I did it around that time when I was starting to produce. I did a bunch of spec deals in a row. And because the first one had worked out, I was like, this is gold.
Yeah, you got a bit of a misleading idea of that stuff.
It wasn't gold.
No, it wasn't gold. And who else so I forgot that. Who else?
Okay, well, let's go through it. There was Lilix.
Yep.
Marianas.
Yep.
Armchair.
Yep.
Faber Drive.
Wow. Which album?
The
one
Can't
after.
Keep a Secret. I did 3 songs on that.
You did?
Yeah, 3 songs on that. Yeah.
Okay.
Jackie Valentine.
That I remember. And that was done a lot at our studio. You know, that's a good record. And it did okay. It didn't completely flop. And then Kieran went solo, and boy, that's one where I think it might have deserved better than it got.
How about this one for deserving better than it got? Daniel Wesley's self-titled record.
Which also did a bit at our office, if I remember correctly. Yes. And he's been in touch with us. We're going to do a 20th anniversary re-release.
Of that record?
Of that record.
Oh, fantastic.
And we're going to do like special vinyl and stuff. So Kessie's been talking to him. I was on an email with him.
That's another one where I was like, ooh, this one's going to go. This one feels like there's a big wide berth for this to sail right into.
100% agree. And looking back, I'm not sure why it didn't work. Universal was doing radio for us. They went to radio with, what was that song?
Pilgrimage.
Thank you. Great song. Daniel's a great guy.
Yeah. Great singer.
But, you know, that was another one of those ones where we really had trouble breaking out of Vancouver. Like we got a little bit of radio play in Alberta.
Just 2 West Coast.
Stony West Coast, whatever. Yeah. So that's a little, I mean, I was very happy to hear from him. We didn't part under the best terms. Not horrible. But, you know, when Call Me Maybe went ballistic, I think he was one of a couple of clients who felt like Jonathan disappeared. And he's not wrong.
Yeah, you had priorities.
Yeah, a worldwide hit.
Yeah.
So it took up my attention, and that makes me sad a little bit. But that's not why that didn't work. It just didn't work. I mean, I was still fully engaged when that record went out.
That one was a valuable lesson for me because I really felt like, oh, we're making something that's going to go. This is going to go. This is going to go. Doesn't go.
So what's the lesson? That just because something's great doesn't mean it's going to work.
Again, it's not enough to be good. Your timing has to be right. You got to have the right machinery around you. The luck. Timing.
Is that it? Is that everything you've?
I'm sure
it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm missing one or two.
So I guess really is this the point where you say thank you, Jonathan, for all the support, and if it wasn't for you, and then you fill in the blank.
Oh no, you thank me for all those hits. If it wasn't for me,
like the Daniel Wesley hit.
Yeah. If it wasn't for me, the escapes would have come out.
Yeah, exactly. True. But I mean, your life now, I mean, you got the 5440 stuff that you do, and that keeps you active, especially in the summer when they're touring their fucking asses off at festivals.
5440 is playing 50 shows this year.
Wow.
And
Incredible.
we made a record with Warren Livesey.
Yes, in Portugal.
Yeah.
Okay. When's that come out?
A couple of weeks.
You can. Oh, is it from now?
Yeah.
There's a little plug. Do you have a name for it yet?
Yeah, it's called Porto.
Okay. So, like, is that where you recorded it?
Yeah.
So there you go, people. If you want to check out 5440 album coming out soon, and I'm sure we'll be doing lots of other stuff. I mean, I might be old, but I'm still plugging away at this stuff.
Still at it. The funny thing is, Jonathan, is that 20 years ago you were talking about retirement all the time.
I was?
Yeah. You were like, oh, I can't wait to get out of this. So I'm going to do something else. I'm going to write.
Well, that's not retirement. Doing something else.
Retire from this.
Yeah,
right?
From this.
Like you were like, oh, and you never talk about that anymore.
You feel the ticking of the clock, and it's made me almost more desperate. And I don't feel like I have a whole lot to prove at this point.
No, of course not.
I've built a big company. I've had a bunch of hits.
You're a famous tweeter.
I'm a famous tweeter. I've gotten canceled. You have to be famous to get canceled.
Yeah.
And I don't really feel like I have a whole lot to prove. I A&R'd the biggest selling single in history. I am still very involved with the 11th biggest selling rock band in history. For what that's worth. I don't know what it's worth. I mean, it sounds good when you say it. There's times at night where I'm like, who gives a fuck? And so what? And who the fuck does it really matter, any of it? But, for me, I am at the heart a creative. And at the heart, I am a productive, I'm a producer, just a different kind of producer than you. Nothing makes me happier than sitting in my office at 2 a.m, stoned out of my fucking gourd, drinking tea, and coming up with crazy ass ideas for how to sell music. And when they actually come to life, I'll sit in my 604 Restored is a great example where I was sitting in my office and it was Armchair Cynics. I was watching the video for Coal Mine and getting angry. What? It looks like we made this beautiful video with those cool lighting effects and it's pixelated garbage now.
Yeah.
What if, and I started to track down the original, and this is before AI really became, I started to track down the original tapes, but after 20 years, nobody's got any of that
Yeah.
And so credit where credit's due. It was Colin Jans, who you know, right? Colin. Colin's the one who came to me and said, hey, there's this really cool new technology. I was around with it. I can't remember which video he showed me. I was like, and I had him do Faber Drive. I had him do When I'm With You. So it was great. I mean, for me, to sort of have this, I'm going to 604 Restored. That's the name. This is something I sent to myself in an email at 2 a.m, or dictated to my assistant at 2 a.m, high as a kite. And then the next morning, you never know that half the time those ideas come back to you and go, what the was I thinking? But that one came back to me. I said, that one I like. Or I was telling somebody else this earlier, last night I was obsessing about a thing to do with karaoke videos. I have an idea about, I want to do some stuff in the world of karaoke. And so that's what still drives me is the beauty of having something. And it's not, listen, on some levels, it's not that different than what I always have said about songwriting. It's amazing to me that 3 people can sit in a room, come up with a song, and that changes lives and has financial ramifications and opens doors and ruins relationships and creates relationships. And look at Call Me Maybe. It did all those things.
Yeah.
It brought in millions and millions and millions of dollars. It enabled me to connect with people I never would have been able to connect with. It destroyed a bunch of relationships. It almost caused some lawsuits. It made people hate each other. All of the above. That's amazing that a piece of intellectual property that just came out of some people's brains could actually have that kind of an impact in the real world. So I love that. To me, that's I'm not a songwriter. I'm never going to be. I'm not a musician, but I got a lot of ideas about I love, and that's also why you said it earlier, I've kind of always was separating myself from the old boys. And that was part of it too. I just was like, you know what? I don't find what you're doing particularly interesting. And that's why building this building was kind of the final step for me to sort of I'm already insulated from the rest of the business. And now I barely know what's going on outside of these four walls. And I don't want to know.
You and I are very different people in a lot of ways, but one thing that we share is we do not consider workaholism a bad word.
Especially if you love what you do. And I still do. I can't lie. I mean, are there moments? Of course. There's always show. I had a bunch of moments today. I had some like thing to do with a producer who's one of my clients over. And I had this is a business full of always has been, always will be. Now, I think it's ironic that I get called that all the time because I don't feel like I am. But I think when you stand up to or when you just stand up for what you think is right, amazing how people, look at you. And that's why I laughed this year when that Billboard thing came out and, number 7th most powerful or whatever, that power player list. Jonathan Simkin, unflinchingly honest and a disturber, in an industry that sorely needs disturbers. And I was sort of laughing, kind of going, like, look, on some levels, that a nice little boost for the ego. Of course, it's a nice boost for the ego. But the flip side of it is, hold on a sec. Wasn't that disturber thing the thing you've used to marginalize me for the last 25 years? Isn't that's why I've always kept on the outside of everything? Oh, that guy's trouble. That guy's disturber. That guy, Now, so I haven't changed. The world's changed. Now suddenly disturbers are looked at as a good thing, So I had to roll my eyes a bit and just kind of go. And God bless the Billboard people. They've been very supportive. They published that story. I'm going to be doing more stuff with them.
Really? What's the next one about?
Part 2 of that first story. And that wasn't going to be what the first one was about, or the second one. The second one was going to be about something completely different, but there's been still an ongoing reaction to that first story.
So it's a follow-up.
And I've learned a lot that I didn't know.
Right.
And there's been developments in the real world about it.
Yeah.
And this one's going to piss people off more than the last one did. Because doing that first story was a revelation to me. I've said this, and I've said it on the I hate repeating myself, but it was like that scene in the first Matrix movie where Neo's fighting the agents in the hallway at the very end and he actually gets killed. And then Trinity kisses him and he comes back to life. And then it's a different guy who's come back to life. And those bullets coming and he stops them all in midair and the bullets fall to the ground. And then it's all slow motion to him. The agent comes and he's got one hand behind his back and he's fending off. And all of a sudden, the agent's humanity, their human image falls away to reveal what they really are. Computer code. That's what writing that story was like for me. Now everything I see is the of it all, which may mean I'm going to have to leave the business sooner than later because I'm having trouble seeing anything.
You're pretty aware of the beforehand.
It's different. I'm going to step while I'm doing this because I'm about to up my hourly steps. Yeah, I look crazy. Thank you.
That we were talking about in Matthew Goodband, you made some relationships and some connections with people. You were afforded the opportunity to make connections with people in the industry. And, in that time, I made a couple of very, very close friends in the business who weren't artists. Before that time, I was surrounded entirely by artists. When I look at why I made those connections with those particular few people from that era, it's because those were the people who weren't afraid to tell me the truth. Even if they knew it was going to be distasteful or it was going to make me unhappy. You, Alan Reed, people who were truthful, right? When I asked them for the truth, they would give it to me, even if it was going to hurt.
Oh, yeah, I remember when Alan was truthful.
Oh, nice. I'm looking forward to that podcast, too.
Sorry.
So many podcasts to come.
So much things to say.
When are you actually going to get somebody on here that actually hates Simkin?
Well, funny enough, I'm thinking about that. I mean, that's why the Jake Gold thing would be interesting. Because again, I don't think he actively hates me at this point in his life, but we've had it would be interesting, And there was somebody else who somebody suggested that I should get who I've had a lot of acrimony with.
Right.
And I can't even remember now who it is. I got my steps, everybody.
Congratulations.
I got my hourly steps. Yes.
I can see the pounds just melting off you.
Hey, man, I've lost like about 45 pounds.
I'd say it's at least 55.
Have you? Well, you've noticed, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm healthier now than I was.
Yeah, I saw you with your shirt off the other day. It was beautiful.
When was that? Good. Yeah, please.
Never seen you with your shirt off.
That's like slander.
Thank God.
Yeah. Plus, I don't think you're ready for this jelly, but that's just my opinion.
No, I am definitely not ready for that jelly.
To quote Beyonce.
There's no question about that.
Yeah, no, well, that's, I appreciate that. I mean, I think that's, but I also think like, over the years, I've learned that lesson too, that if you're not honest with people, that might be a good short-term strategy, but in the long term, it just doesn't, like, you think I'd be with Nickelback for 30 years if I wasn't honest with him about everything?
I know a lot. I've met a lot of untruthful industry people who have made good long careers.
100%. But I think that often tends to be people who don't stick with their clients very long. They go from client to client to client to client.
Yeah, sure.
Like I think Bruce Allen, somebody who's also not afraid to just sort of say what something is.
Yeah.
Look how long his relationships have lasted.
Yeah.
Look how long mine have lasted with most of our artists. Like, and I think, that's a big part of it is like, what value am I to anybody if I'm not being honest? What value am I?
Yeah, Bruce is an interesting one because he's got, he's always had this reputation as a blowhard, right? But when I got to know him, I realized that in actual fact, he's incredibly curious. Yes, agreed. He asks a lot of questions and he's looking for knowledge all the time. And that's a really good quality. That is indicative of intelligence to me.
Yeah, and it's funny because like Bruce really didn't like me for a long time, even though he didn't really know me. I think the Sarah McLachlan lawsuit was part of it. I think he saw me as like an upstart troublemaker, blah, 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 blah. And I remember something you told me once. You told me this at your wedding. You said something like, "Oh man, Bruce really doesn't like you, eh?" I said, "Yeah, I don't know why. Like, I don't even understand. Like, why? What did he say?" Do you remember what?
No. I was a little busy that day, but
yeah, you're a little busy getting married.
Yeah.
You said, well, what he said was, as far as I'm concerned, if somebody dresses like a clown, they're a clown. And I remember thinking, what does that mean? I'm in a suit like everybody else.
But you had that nose, though.
I guess that's what it was.
And the big shoes.
But I was like, what does that mean? Like, what the is that about?
The
like,
unicycle with the horn.
I don't know what he was talking about, But him and I have now become friends, which is pretty wild. Like very late in his life and kind of late in mine as well.
Well, he's a good friend.
And he's a loyal guy, and he is he's a good dude. I showed up at his office this week because actually the people who are in our studio right now are making a Christmas album, a country Christmas album, and they really want to try and get Bublé on it. And I told them, guys, like the odds of that are, they said, but you know his manager, don't you? I said, yeah, I know his manager. Okay, and they made this package. Like it was this box with like a gift wrapped box. I said, can you get it to the manager, please? So I dropped by Bruce's office and, Paul Hagenson is now in there. So I show up and there's Paul. Bruce is on the phone, so he was busy. And, I'm talking to Paul and Bruce sees me in his office, just like, wait, don't leave. And so he finishes his call and he comes out and he says, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm pissed off that you hired Paul and not me. And I'm prepared to fight Paul right now. And whoever wins, gets the gig. And Bruce looks at me. He says, I thought about you for a split second there, Simkin, but yeah, even by my standards, you're a bit too much of a troublemaker. Something like that. And Joe Faluna made some joke about it, but no, it's been nice. Like I've never really given a shit about the approval of the old boys club, but you know what? On some level, when somebody who's accomplished what he's accomplished says, I respect what you've done, Simkin. I think you've done really amazing stuff. Mm-hmm. It's nice. Like it does feel good. It means more to me than it would mean from other people in the business who.
Right.
So, all right. Anything else that you want to plug, say, do? I don't know.
That's it. 5440 has a new record.
5440 is a new record.
Gents will have a new record soon.
Gents will have a new record soon. I think we've got one song mixed. It sounds great. Anyways, thank you, Dave. Thank you, everybody who's been watching and supporting the podcast. I've been shocked because God knows the last thing I'd want to do is sit around listening to me. So the fact that anybody else does it's kind of a miracle. But thanks, everybody, and stay tuned for the next episode.